tonight. My name is Stephanie Regannon. I'm the founder and executive director of Ava's Grace Scholarship Foundation. I'm very humbled and honored to be here with you all tonight. My friends, my family are here. The members of the board of directors are all here, which is wonderful. This is the first time we've all been together, which is awesome. And also there's several people in the crowd who I've met with over the past 6 months who have really helped me get off the ground in terms of starting a foundation and serving this very unique and deserving population, the children of the incarcerated. So I want to thank you all for being here. I must start the evening by thanking several people. I'm sorry I have to do that, but I do. First, our host, Lisa Keller, and I'm not sure that she's out here. Lisa is the owner of this bar, Morgan Le Fay's Tapas Bar and Lounge. She's done a wonderful job here tonight. She's been a very gracious host. She was my former neighbor. And so anyway, if we could get a round of applause for the food. Secondly, I'd like to thank Amy Bugg and Ryan Stottleman. They're who produced the video that you all are going to see tonight. They donated their time. They're out of Kansas City. Amy's actually here with us tonight. She's also my Kansas City event chair. She's a good friend of mine. And I can't wait to watch this video with you all. I'm not going to lie. I have not seen it yet, so we'll all be watching it for the first time. I'd like to mention Houston Brayton. Houston Brayton donated his time for our website, and as you all know, a website, thank you, Lisa. As you all know, a website is your face to the world, and I think that Houston did an excellent job. My stepdad, Steve, is in the crowd. I hope some of you have met him. Steve is one of the best people I've ever met. He has stood solidly beside my mom from day one. When this whole incident started almost 6 years ago, that has meant a lot to my family. He's been my stepdad since I was very young. Let's see here. Yeah. My sister and brother-in-law, Misty McCoy, Sean McCoy, are here tonight, as well as their daughter, Caitlin, who had an incident earlier in the week, and I'm just going to say that she's a tough little girl, and I'm proud that she's here tonight. Thank you so much for coming, guys. There's an attorney in the crowd. We met in college. We stayed in touch over the years. He's a very dear friend of mine. Aaron Smith has represented my mom for the past 2 years and has done so pro bono. He did this because he's my friend and because he believed in my mom. And it's those gestures over the past 6 years that have sustained me, and I really want to thank Aaron Smith. Last, but certainly not least, I have to thank my mom. It is my mom that taught me the value of an education. She was a college professor for 15 years, but she also taught me that at the end of the day, all you have is your integrity. And if that's all I have at the end of this, and that she has at the end of this, then we're going to be okay. For those of you who attended our soft launch, you heard the whole story. I was very nervous, much like I am tonight, and I'm not going to make you sit through that again. And I think most of you have been to the website to actually read our story. But I think it's important to establish my connection to this cause. So I am going to go through just a brief history of how I came to this point and how this foundation was created. My daughter, Ava, who I would like you all to meet, but I think she's having a meltdown in the background, so you might not be able to see her. There she is in the blue dress. My daughter, Ava, is 1 year old today, so this is a very special day for our family. It was important for me to have this foundation launched tonight because it's truly been her existence that brought me to the place where I could do something like this. It was through her grace that I'm able to hopefully help others. And so she's the reason I'm here tonight, and I'm going to let you all know why you're here tonight. Okay, on January 1st of 2005, I was a 27-year-old with a college degree, a master's degree, a great group of friends, a great support system. I had a lot of things going for me, and while I know that my future is still bright, everything changed for me the morning of January 5th. There was a fire at my parents' bar and restaurant in Kirksville, Missouri. My mom, who was the mayor at the time and a former college professor at Truman State University, because she was the owner of the bar and one of the last people to leave that night, she was immediately a suspect. Our lives took a terrible turn that day in that she was instantly interrogated and our lives were completely turned upside down. It was a huge story, as you can imagine, due to the fact that she was mayor. Within weeks, my parents saw the writing on the wall and started hiring attorneys, investigators, and others across the country. We begged the investigators and the government to come look at an electrical outlet in our bar that our experts had found had arced. We believe it was an electrical fire. After 9 months of paying a mortgage on a bar that was closed for business and damaged, we decided to sell our bar. The government had already come to their conclusion, and they didn't much care what we had to say. In the fall of 2005, I saw my parents sell their home, our bar and restaurant, and they moved to our family farm because they were getting ready to lose everything, and paying legal expenses and everything else. Luckily, they had a farm to go to. Otherwise, they may have moved in with me in St. Louis, and we know how that might have gone. The course of the next 18 months is a very long and painful journey, and honestly, I've forgotten most of the details. My mom is writing a book, thankfully, so that will be out there one day, but it's too painful for me to recall and much too tedious to recall tonight. She was indicted by a federal jury in December of 2006, and in May of 2007, she was convicted in the Eastern District of Missouri, for arson. You're probably wondering how this was a federal charge. Arson is a state crime. This was a $60,000 victimless fire. It was really easy for them. My parents bought liquor and food from out of state because we were located in the northeast corner of Missouri. So it was a federal case. But I have to tell you that this charge is typically reserved for terrorists, this interfering with interstate commerce by way of arson. So it was still pretty shocking. Her trial lasted 2 weeks in May of 2007. Near Mother's Day, her anniversary, and my first wedding anniversary, my mom was convicted of her charge. And on September 18th of 2007, she was sent to Bryan, Texas to a federal prison camp. We have continued to fight the good fight every single day since we saw the direction this was going in the spring of 2005. We've worked the system every which way possible and continue to do so through Aaron Smith. Those details, too, are very long and painful. If nothing happens with her ongoing legal case, my mom will be going to a halfway house next July and hopefully free sometime soon after that. It will be a very, very proud day for us because we've done everything we could to fight this fight, and she has stayed true to herself. In June of 2009, 3 months before Ava was born, my mom was transferred to Pekin, Illinois, which is obviously a lot closer than Bryan, Texas. So while my mom missed the most important day of my life, the birth of my daughter, which was 1 year ago today, she is much closer, and that has been a huge blessing for our family. She sees her at least every month. She's watching her grow, and we're making plans for a very bright future full of memories made with people who matter in this life. So that's my story. Let me share with you what could have been my story. It is January 1st of 2005, and I am only 14 years old. In the middle of the night, I hear loud noises, and the police enter my home and take my mother. I am sent to family services, and my mom never comes to get me. I don't know what happened. I don't know where my mom is. I don't know if she's safe. I am afraid and alone. Within days, relatives arrive to try to determine who will raise me. My dad has been gone a long time, and it's my understanding he's been in prison since I was 2. My aunt can't keep me. My grandmother is too old, and I'm told my mom is going to prison in Bryan, Texas. Bryan, Texas is 800 miles away, and no one can afford to take me to visit her. School is starting back up. I have no school supplies, I have no school clothes, and no one has any money to buy those for me. I wanted to go to high school with my friends. I wanted my mom to see me play baseball this spring, and I wanted my mom to see me graduate high school and go on to college because I wanted to be the first in my family to do so. Now, I am not sure, this same child, I'm not sure what the future holds, but this person is losing hope. This is the kind of story you would actually hear from most children of the incarcerated. I'm a special exception. I was not only older and grown up and self-sustaining, although my dad might argue that point, I had already received my education. I'm very fortunate in that regard. I would like to introduce you to Bradley Trigg and his grandma, Susie Kimball. Bradley is my mom's roommate's son. He is 14 years old and he lives in Kansas City. Bradley is more like one of these children I am talking about. Bradley was very young when his mom went to prison, and he will be a grown man when she comes home. His entire life has been altered by this absence. I would like you all to learn more about Bradley's story, so we're going to watch a video.
Children of incarcerated parents face unique difficulties. Many have experienced the trauma of sudden separation from their sole caregiver, and most are vulnerable to feelings of fear, anxiety, anger, sadness, depression, and guilt. The behavioral consequences can be severe. Absent positive intervention, emotional withdrawal, failure in school, delinquency, and risk of intergenerational incarceration. 1.7 million children nationwide have an incarcerated parent. These children seem to fall through the cracks. You can help change their fate. An education will help allow these children to reach their potential. Ava's Grace Scholarship Foundation focuses on this at-risk population. We believe we can break the cycle of incarceration, one child at a time, through the gift of education. Meet 14-year-old Jason Trigg, a.k.a. Bradley. Like most young men, he's busy with school, math is his favorite subject, and playing football. He plays right tackle and nose guard.
Wines to use for your
However, Bradley's life
So
changed
you've got
when he was 9
your
years
former
old.
prices like everything.
His mother was sent to prison.
We rode four-wheelers at night and went in the pasture and rode three-wheelers and had fun. In Louisiana one time she decorated, since there's no Christmas trees down there, she decorated all the trees and stuff and lit up the whole yard, and we would go ride four-wheelers in the snow and do fun things. My last birthday, right before she went to prison, she was here at this house. She put up all the balloons and stuff, and we jumped on the trampoline and played video games and stuff, and she mostly did everything.
Living with his paternal grandparents, father and uncle, Bradley is surrounded by family. However, he misses his mom every day.
I live with my grandma and grandpa, my dad's friends, and I live with my uncle. And it's just sort of weird that we all live together. Usually all my other friends just live with their mom and dad. But it's different because you got your grandma and grandpa and your uncle living with you. There's a lot more arguments and stuff happen. I'd like to go to college and play football at any college and just get better and better and try to win divisions and hopefully go to the NFL. I know yards and stuff. I like 6 yards. I do. They'll pay for things. Like when I want to go to World of Fun or new clothes or stuff I want. Because my dad, he's trying to support me right now. And then a lot of times he doesn't have a lot of money. Yesterday I was wanting to go to my World of Fun, but then I had to finish my yard and go do another yard, so I didn't get to go.
Despite the distance, Bradley gets the chance to visit his mom about once a month.
When I go there, it's like a long ride, about 6 hours. And once we get there, it's like I'm exhausted, but I still want to jump up and hug her and stuff. And when we walk in, we got to sign papers and stuff to get in and see guards. And we sit down at tables and just talk. I wonder if when my mom gets out, she'll get back with my dad. Or wherever she go when she gets out. Or if she can get out any sooner for when I graduate from high school.
Bradley's biggest wish is to have his mom home tonight. Until that day comes, he worries about her.
My mom probably just feels like it keeps getting longer and longer before she'll get out. And that if she does get out, she'll do it again. And that she'll go back in prison. I always tell her I love her and this is good for you right now. That you will never do it again, and just motivate her. Sometimes, I feel that she put us like this sometimes, but I still love her.
Every day, Bradley looks forward to the day his mom does come home. He will be 24 years old. The children of incarcerated parents are at high risk for a number of negative behaviors that could lead to school failure, delinquency, and intergenerational incarceration. Without positive intervention, the cycle of incarceration continues. In fact, the children of incarcerated parents are 7 times more likely to enter the criminal justice system than children who don't have a parent in prison. The mission of Ava's Grace Scholarship Foundation is to break the cycle of incarceration through education, one child at a time. It's an education issue. It is a known fact that education is the key to keeping people out of prison. It's a workforce issue. If we can help these young people learn a skill, we can put them to work instead of on the streets. It's a moral issue. These children, through no fault of their own, are forced to give up their dreams. You can help change everything. An education will allow these children to reach their potential. With your support, they'll have a greater hope for a better tomorrow. Ava's Grace Scholarship Foundation is providing hope to young people who have dreams of a higher education and a different life. Helping young people in need in our own extended families, in our neighborhoods, and in our communities is rewarding. We at Ava's Grace Scholarship Foundation are on a mission to give these forgotten children a path to a different future.
If the fire at my parents' restaurant had happened when I was 14, there is no doubt in my mind I would not have gone to college. I would have gone to work to help my family, or maybe down an even worse path, who knows. But there's no doubt in my mind I would not have pursued a higher education, and I probably wouldn't have had someone in my life encouraging me to do so. I was fortunate enough through the hard work of my parents to have my education paid for, and I know that that's a very fortunate experience, and I didn't appreciate it at the time, but needless to say, I do today. And I'm hoping that our scholarships, in some small way, can be that kind of pay it forward for these kids who really deserve it. Lots of children face adversity and loss, but having a parent incarcerated is a loss that can last a lifetime. This kind of loss leaves a gift of low self-esteem, the stigma of having a parent in prison, the strain of economic distress, and most of all, separation anxiety and uncertainty. Society has all but forgotten about these children, and if I'm being honest with you, I did not think about them either until I met them in prison visiting rooms the past 3 years. Many of them are just trying to survive terribly long absences and overwhelming distance from their loved ones. And in the nightmare they are living every single day, they have had to forgo their dreams through no fault of their own. We at the Ava's Grace Foundation are on a mission to give these forgotten children a path to a different future. I would like to reiterate 2 statistics. I believe both of them were in the video. Children of inmates are 7 times more likely to enter the criminal justice system at some point in their lifetime. That's astounding. For every child who leaves high school and enters a life of crime, our taxpayers spend $1.7 to $2.3 million in prison overhead and legal expenses. So this is more than just an educational issue. This is a real problem in our country, but one that can be avoided. Something that most of us in this room have taken for granted, which is a good education, can actually prevent these children from becoming a statistic. Beginning in the spring of 2012, Ava's Grace Scholarship Foundation will award 3 scholarships to children who have a parent in the federal prison system. At some point, we would love to grow to be able to award this scholarship to anyone who has a parent in prison, not just the federal system. But as an all-volunteer organization, we had to limit it just in terms of management for now, but that is my goal, to grow it to that point. These scholarships can be used for tuition, books, housing, transportation, and anything a child may need to be successful in their program. These scholarships will be at least $1,500 per student. We're really shooting for $3,000 to $5,000 per student, and they will be annually available to these children as long as they stay in their program and they get a satisfactory report as defined by their university or their school. We're actually not limiting it to 4-year universities and colleges. Technical schools, associate's degrees, and other kinds of programs are going to be available. The goal is to be flexible, to get these kids employed, to make a legal, honest living, and to hopefully take care of a family one day. So we don't want to limit their options. In the next 18 months, leading up to the spring of 2012, we will be fundraising. We'll have events like this in St. Louis, Columbia, and Kansas City. And while events like this don't raise a ton of money, it's a great way to get our name out. So I want to continue to do those. More importantly, any day now, we should have had it by today, we will have our 501c3 status from the IRS, which means I can then go to foundations to get larger pools of money, which will be hopefully right around the corner. Just so you know, when and if you donate tonight, I can still send you a letter as soon as we get our IRS determination, and it will be a tax-deductible donation. So we've raised $7,000 in private donations since about April. We've also received $7,000 in in-kind donations, and I don't think that's bad for only being around for 6 months. And I want to thank those of you in the room that have made that happen. I don't know if I said this before, but this is the only foundation of its kind. A lot of the money is spent on getting these kids through high school. That's a major feat, as we all know. And I called around the contacts that I have in Washington and elsewhere, and this is truly the only foundation of its kind. And so you can feel confident in donating. A, it's going to go to these scholarships, but B, we're not competing with anybody else out there. We are truly the only organization doing this. Finally, it was through the grace of my daughter Ava that I was able to get to a point where I wanted to turn our nightmare into an opportunity for someone less fortunate. Some call it making lemonade out of lemons, but this has truly been spiritual and mental survival for me. I needed to focus on the positive again. I realize now that if one life is made better through the pain we have endured as a family, maybe one day I can look back and say there was greater purpose in this tragedy. I know I will be able to do that through Avis Grace Scholarship Foundation, and I hope you will join me in that mission. This is an educational issue, it is a moral issue, it's a workforce issue, it's a tax dollar issue. We can make a difference one child at a time. I truly believe that. That's all I have in terms of formal remarks. I would really like to ask our board to join me up here because they've been very helpful. Eric Gassaway, Vice Chairman of the Board. Dr. Jake Utterback, Secretary of the Board. Julie Ward. Stephanie Verheyen. Kathleen Steele-Danner. Elaine St. Clemens. Rick Dilley. Amy Utterback. And Aaron Smith. Let's give them a hand, please. Sorry, it's a little tight quarters up here. Come on around. Last but not least, I would like to ask my husband, Jason, to join us on stage. He's also the treasurer of the board. Oh, Amy Utterback. How did I miss Amy? She's on my list. Oh, I got her, babe. I got her. I just want to say I wouldn't be here today, and this foundation would not exist if it wasn't for the support of my husband. He has been the biggest fan I have and my mom has, and I certainly appreciate that. Lastly, please go to our website and sign up for our newsletter. We're going to send it out quarterly. I'm going to let you all know when the applications are available. I'm going to let you know about grants and monies that we've received, events that are coming up, all of that good stuff. Did I have any last minute announcements? We're going to have a golf tournament in the spring. The raffle tickets that you bought at the door tonight, I'm actually going to do that at 8 o'clock, which is only in about 25 minutes, but I'm going to take a break here and do that. I just want to thank you all so much for coming out tonight to hear our story, to hear more about Ava's Grace, and to support what I think is a great cause. So thank you again so much. And y'all, please eat. Lisa's food is wonderful.